Hey, BassGeek here, and your confidence lures might be costing you more fish than they're catching you. How many times has some YouTuber or some pro told you that the key to gaining confidence in a bait is picking up one rod and one bait and going out there and fishing it until you gain confidence in it? Or you've got everything you need to learn this technique or learn how to fish this bait. But when do you pull it out? You wait until the bite's tough and you're not catching them on the things you normally catch them on, and you pull this bait hoping gain the confidence you need to catch them on this wonderful new technique. Stop wasting your time on the water. So let's call it what it really is. What is a confidence bait? Because the truth is, it's not confidence. It's not going to catch you fish everywhere you go any time of year on any body of water. It's not. There's no bait out there. I don't care what you say. It ain't a Cinco. It ain't wacky rig. It's not going to go catch them anytime, anywhere, anyhow. Ain't going to happen. So what are we going to replace it with? We're going to replace the term confidence with comfort bait. It's comfortable for you to pick that bait up because you've spent the time on the water fishing that bait. You know it inside and out. You're comfortable with the retrieve you've used to catch bass on that bait. I mean, come on, geeks. I know because I've been there and I've done that. On the toughest days you have on the lake, when you pick up that comfort bait, you do not have confidence that it's going to get a bite. You hope that it's going to get a bite, but you're comfortable with that bait. You're comfortable with how to use that bait. You believe in it. Comfort and confidence is two different things. They're close when it comes to these baits, but realistically, you're just comfortable because you've had the time on the water spent learning how to catch bass on that lure at certain times of the year. What if I told you you could be comfortable or confident in any bait before you ever took it out on the water? Well, that's why me and Mike make the videos that we make, is because we want to show you the baits we like to use. We want to show you how to use them for that time of year. We want to tell you how to rig them, the rod, the reel, the line, the weight, even 2 to 3 retrieves. That way, when you decide to go pick that bait up or that technique up, you've already got confidence when to use it, where to use it, how to use it. And that's a big key of actually getting better and not wasting your time gaining confidence in a lure. So to gain confidence in a bait, there's some things that you're just going to have to go learn to begin with. There's really no way around it. Sure, if you're fishing a pond and you can fish the whole thing in a matter of a few minutes, I mean, you can throw a few baits out there, but I don't know that that's really gaining confidence in that bait. To gain confidence in a bait, there's a few things that you have to know. Number one, you've got to understand bass's movements, seasonal movements, where they're going to be and what they're going to be doing. And we can talk a little bit about that, but that is a whole nother video. You know, basically, to make it simple, you know, during the wintertime, they're on steep, deep areas so that they can stay warm. They're going to be around the bait fish. During the spring, they're going to move up shallow so that they can spawn, and that's their progression. As we get past the spawn, into post-spawn and into summer, they're going to move back out. Now, some do, some don't. But again, that's a video or 10. When it comes to the summer, they're going to be out there in pretty predictable patterns. There's plenty of stuff in my videos and on YouTube that you can find that will teach you the basics of bass behavior. During the fall, they're going to come back up shallow. They're going to feed up for the winter, and then during the winter, it's right back. So it's just a cycle. Now, in our fishing videos, you hear us always talking about conditions of the day. And conditions of the day are really going to dictate what type of bait you're going to be able to use that's going to really be best to catch you fish. Is it extremely clear like it is today? Has it been a bluebird sky with no wind like it is today? That's going to eliminate a lot of baits, and it could eliminate your confidence bait. Forage is the next key. So what are they feeding on? Are they feeding on crawls on the bottom? Are they feeding on shad out in the middle? Are they feeding on bluegill running up and down the bank? That's going to eliminate a lot of baits depending on where you're at. And a lot of that could be going on at the same time. So to gain confidence in that bait or that technique, you need to understand what that bait or that technique is mimicking. Forage movements. Just like the bass, shad, bluegill, crayfish are going to do different things based on the time of year. And again, there's a ton of stuff and it's a lot of videos out there. I'm not going to be able to fit it all in, but they're going to move to different places based on whether it's spawn, whether it's winter, whether it's summer, and you need to know where they're going so that you can eliminate areas of the lake or pond or whatever that really isn't holding the majority of bass. So let's define success, because success in learning a bait or catching bass is really personal. It's what you want to accomplish. And don't let anyone ever tell you what your success bass fishing is or should be. Now, for me, what I consider success is I'm a weekend warrior just like you all. I want to go out and I want to catch fish, as many fish, the biggest 5 fish that I can catch every single time on the water. If I can go out and catch every single fish in the lake, that's my goal. But that's just me. That's me. I love tournament fishing. It's just what I like to do. If you like to get out there and just catch fish on a jig, go catch fish on a jig. For me, when I'm talking about this video, when I'm talking about confidence baits being a myth, I'm talking about maximizing your time on the water, catching as many bass, putting yourself in the right position to learn a new technique. So to me, everything we've talked to up to this point, other than conditions of the day, and some of that should be known before you go, is things you need to know before you ever pick up a new bait or a new technique. That way you understand when that bait works. Now, what do you need to know about that bait or that technique? Because that's going to play into all that stuff that you've now spent time learning. You're going to want to know what level of the water column that bait is a fishing at. How deep does it run? Does it float? Is it a top water? Does it run 0 to 5? Does it run 5 to 10, 10 to 20? Is it a bottom bank? Can you fish it anywhere in the water column? Does it vibrate? Does it put off noise? What colors are available in it? All that stuff is going to be very important the day you pick that bait up. The first time I ever picked a chatterbait up, and I don't fish a chatterbait a lot. I am by far not what you would call a guru of chatterbait fishing. But the first time I ever picked a chatterbait up, I caught a fish on it. I caught several. But I understood that that chatterbait was going to run at a specific depth. It was going to put off a lot of vibration, that it was really good around cover, not wood, but grass or dirty water, which is where I fished it. We were practicing for a tournament on Fort Loudon, and we got into a bay where it was shallow water, a lot of docks, and it was muddy water. I picked up a black chatterbait with a black trailer, and voila, I started cracking them. But I understood how that bait worked, where it worked, and how I was going to fish it. Now, as I have grown, I've expanded the basics of that bait a lot. Now I'll fish it in sometimes some clear water. Sometimes I'll fish it around wood. But for me, I like to understand a bait before I ever put it on the water, because I don't have time to spend a day or days beating water with one rod and reel to figure out if that bait is going to work. And a lot of times what's going to happen is you're not ever going to gain confidence in it, especially if you fish some of the tough fisheries that I live on. And to really end it, guys, there's really no magic bait. There are baits, I can tell you when the Senko first come out. I can tell you when the chatterbait first come out. I can tell you when the A-rig first come out. That there were times when I could go to a lake on a 3/0 unweighted early in spring when the bass were moving up and take a Senko and just flat wear them out. But as the summer came, that Senko was wearing out smaller and smaller and smaller bass because that's what was in the shallows, not the 3s, 4s, and 5s that I was catching when it was pre-spawn, spawn, and just after post-spawn. So I hate that I'm busting your bubble. There's no such thing as a magic bait. It just doesn't exist. Sometimes those new baits will come out and the bass haven't seen them, and it's wonderful when you get to ride that ride. All I want you geeks to do, I'm not raining on anybody's parade. For the most part, I just want you to understand how to be a better angler and how to be efficient on the water and how to catch more fish. And to me, when people give you the lazy answer of pick up one rod and reel and go out there and throw it until you catch fish. Well, if they're 50 foot deep during the summer and you're gonna throw that bait all summer long, or you're never gonna gain confidence in it. So what we do here on this channel is we make sure we give you the ins and outs. Even if you're fishing different fisheries, if you're not fishing deep clear lakes, sometimes it can just be the difference of changing color and changing weight. And you can go out the time of year that we put the videos out and you can have confidence that you're going to catch fish. Listen, geeks, I love that you geeks catch more fish, and that's what it's all about for me. That's why I've always hated the term confidence bait. And like I said, I get a lot of guys who come up to me and say, well, Senko will catch them any time of year. Please come, please come to my lake in the middle of summer when all the fish are out here in the middle and throw that Senko for me. Throw it 50 feet deep. I mean, I can see 15 feet of water. I know they ain't there. I've seen the rocks. So just remember, when you're listening to somebody talk about fishing, they may be fishing completely different water than you. Make sure you understand the when, the where, the why, and the how. And I hope that's what we provide to you geeks. Now, I'm not going to be able to cover your exact situation, but you need to understand the basics. And that's why you need to go check out this video right here, which talks about my bait breakdown based on the conditions. We keep it really simple, and we even give you a couple of graphs to hopefully help you understand. But as always, questions, comments in the comment section below. Like it if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you ring that bell and be part of the 100% Watch Squad. Guys, helping us grow, help me live my dream of doing this full time. I promise I will share and not hide anything from you. And as always, you geeks rock.